Celebrity Big Brother US premiered on February 7th, 2018 as 11 celebrities vied for a shot at $250,000. This season features Mark McGrath, Brandi Glanville, Metta World Peace, Ariadna Gutierrez, Ross Matthews, Shannon Elizabeth, Chuck Liddell, Keshia Pulliam, Marissa Jaret Winokur, James Maslow, and Omarosa. The 11 house guests move in, and early on, Brandi Glanville and big-time Rush James don't get along. Omarosa and Shannon decide they want to work together, then they eventually bring in the rest of the women who hold a majority in the house. Then Shannon wins the first HOH competition. During the HOH competition, eliminated players each picked celebrity gift bags, where some of the bags contained the recast power, which if played would let you overthrow the HOH and become the new head of household. James and Chuck see that all the women are hanging out together and figure two guys will go on the block. House guests are told that prior to the nomination ceremony, the first person to declare that they want to open their celebrity gift bag will do so at the nomination ceremony, where it will be revealed whether or not they have the recast power. If multiple house guests declare at the same time, a random draw will determine who gets to open their bag. Marissa thinks that all the women should open their bag to maximize their chances at getting the recast power. Ross talks to Shannon about joining the women to go against the other four guys in the house. The guys tell Shannon they won't open their gift bags, but Chuck immediately goes to open his, followed by all of the women and Ross. At the nomination ceremony, Keshia was the person randomly drawn to open her gift bag, and she draws a recast power, overthrowing Shannon as HOH and immediately nominating James and Chuck, with James as Keshia's target. Shannon then wins the first power veto competition. After finding out that Mark was planning on using the veto on James if he won, Omarosa and Keshia think it would be a good idea to take Chuck off the block and put Mark up. Ross doesn't agree with the idea and thinks it will only hurt Shannon's game, and this disagreement with Omarosa specifically makes him question the alliance. Shannon feels the pressures of both sides of the argument but ends up not using the veto. Feeling the rift, Shannon and Ross decide they should flip the vote on Omarosa and Keshia to get rid of Chuck and pull James in on their side. And that's exactly what happens, and Chuck goes out on a 7-1 vote. Metta also does this. Omarosa and Keshia see that they're on the outs now. Shannon, Marissa, Ross, and James solidify a Final Four deal. Ross then wins the next HOH competition and unsurprisingly nominates Keshia and Omarosa. People in the house are starting to see how close James and Shannon are getting and think Shannon is playing too hard too fast. Everyone is starting to agree that maybe Shannon should be backdoored this round. But Keshia then tells everyone that she needs to go home for her daughter. Marissa then wins the power of veto and decides not to use it. Keshia then goes out on a unanimous vote. Ariadna wins the next HOH competition, and the plan to get rid of Shannon is put back in motion. James and Shannon are put on the block. Shannon feels betrayed by everyone. Omarosa decides she wants to create paranoia, so she lies to James and tells him that everybody wants him out. Everybody eventually finds out about this, and Omarosa continues to claim she never told him anything. James then wins the power of veto. Ari and crew see Mark as having no power or real allegiance, so he goes up as the replacement nominee. And by a 5-1 vote, Shannon is evicted. After Omarosa promises James he's safe, she becomes the new HOH. The core group of Marissa, Ross, and Ariadna are angry at Brandi for being the sole vote to evict Mark at the last eviction. Mark makes a deal with Omarosa to not go after her. Then Omarosa puts up Ross and Brandi for eviction. Ross, Marissa, and Ari figure out that Mark and James definitely struck a deal with Omarosa. Ross wins the power of veto. Ross uses the veto on himself, and Metta is put up as the replacement after repeatedly declaring that he wants to leave. Then Metta is evicted 5-0. James thinks it might be a good idea to split up Brandi and Ariadna, but Ross still wants Omarosa out. Ross and Marissa are now flipping between two Final Fours, one with James and Mark and another with Brandi and Ari. Mark then wins the next HOH. Although Marissa and Ross push for Omarosa to be on the block, Mark puts up Ari and Brandi. Everybody's growing tired of Brandi. Her and James get into a little fight. Ari then wins the veto, uses it on herself, and Marissa goes up in her place. Now it's double eviction night. Brandi is the first evicted of the night on a 3-1 vote. Then Omarosa wins HOH and immediately nominates Ross and Marissa. But Ross wins the power of veto, uses it on himself, and James is put up as the replacement, who is voted out on a 2-1 vote. Julie tells the house guests that unlike typical Final Four HOHs, the winner of this Final Four HOH will immediately evict two house guests. But first, at the Final 5 HOH, Ross comes out on top. Ross knows he wants to take Mark to the Final 2 because he doesn't think he'll win next to a woman, and at nominations he puts up Ari and Omarosa. Ross then also wins the power of veto and decides not to use it, and Omarosa is evicted on a 2-0 vote. At the all-important Final Four HOH, Marissa wins and makes the decision to evict Mark and Ariadna, leaving her and Ross as the final two. The previous evictees all return to question Ross and Marissa and cast their votes for who they want to win Celebrity Big Brother. And with 6 casted for her, Marissa becomes the first winner of Celebrity Big Brother US. Thank you everyone for watching this recap. As always, I only recapped the edited episodes that aired on CBS and not any of the live feed action that didn't make it to the episodes. So as always, I encourage everyone to go back and listen to other podcasts and head over to sites like Hamster Watch if you really want a full idea of what was happening on the live feeds over the course of the season. And since I didn't cover everything, feel free to comment down below if you felt like there was important info that others might want to know about the season that I left out of this video. Also, if you want to leave a like or subscribe to the channel, that would be greatly appreciated. Thanks, everyone.